Being an empath, there's definitely a upside and a downside to being an empath. I'm going to start with the downside. The downside is that you can't help but feel a lot of pain. You experience pain, even if you just imagine a worst case scenario, you experience the pain as though it's happening in real time. So that's the downside, is that you end up feeling way more than most people. And you're feeling it as though it's happening. You travel to a worst case scenario in your mind and you can't even help it. Like you're gonna go there. And then once you feel everything that you have to feel within that worst case scenario, you graduate and you move on to the next worst case scenario. So it kind of sucks because you end up feeling so much pain. But the upside, there's definitely an upside to being an empath, is that you end up graduating from so many lessons in a lesser amount of time. So by the age of 30 or 40, you've felt so much and you've graduated from so many lessons in compassion, in trust, in learning how to love more deeply, that when you graduate from those lessons, the rest of your life is going to be amazing because you've graduated from so many lessons. So that's the upside. The upside is that you're integrating all these lessons, and then you might have someone who's 65 who's learning a lesson that you learned 10 years ago because you feel everything so much deeper and so much more rapidly. So if you're an empath, it's neither good or bad. I love being an empath because whenever there's a job, like there's some worst case scenario or something to think about and to feel, I'm like, hey, I volunteer, sign me up. Because I know that by feeling into that scenario and integrating the lesson, that I'm probably not going to have to go through it physically. That's the other upside, is that you probably won't have to go through that worst case scenario physically because you already went through it emotionally. So that's a huge upside. I would rather suffer more in the first portion of my life and have an enjoyable rest of my life than to suffer sporadically. You know, that's just me. And that's why I love being an empath. So I hope that helps you. Downside, all right, quick recap. Downside, you're going to feel everything and you won't be able to help yourself because that's the job. Okay? Upside, because you're having to feel so much, you're graduating from so many lessons that you won't have to go through physically because you went through them emotionally. I hope that helps.